friends, how is your reading going? Welcome to my 2021 book challenge. In my last video, I showed you the journal where I started to write down all the books that I read since I was 12. This time I would like to speak more about the system that helped me to achieve this goal. I would bring on some childhood memories to better understand why I became so obsessed with the books in the first place. I hope it might help you to create your own system to read more and read more mindfully. One of the most beneficial things that happened in my life, thanks to my mom, was that I went through the music school. Those lovely 5 years of constant piano, solfeggio, choir, and music history classes were not spent in vain. My mom is a music teacher and a professional piano player, so she pushed me really hard to be the best in my class, to become a professional musician later on in life. That didn't quite work because even though I love music, I love performing, and I understand music, I'm a very good listener of classical music, still I lacked enough talent to pursue it as a career. Those pretty dark memories of my childhood, filled with tears and torments, taught me two very important things: discipline and patience. And these two qualities, I think, transferred to other spheres of my life, other disciplines. So I'm very grateful to my mom, who is actually a very sweet person, that she managed to get that laziness out of me when I was little and pushed me to work harder every day. Because these things stick to you through life. What does it have to do with the reading, you might ask? So since I discovered the world of a grown-up literature, reading a too long, too boring, or too incomprehensible book was never a problem for me, because I had the patience to get to the very juice or meat. And the same with the movies. I have patience for independent filmmaking, for old, slow-paced movies. I do understand, of course, that for some people it can be challenging to watch those, but I love the movies that nurture and savor every single moment, every frame, every scene. The same with the literature and art. I love books that are soaked with blood and sweat of the writer, where I can see the work, the research done, the life lived. I was lucky enough to be trained to have patience to search for those treasures, those pearls of wisdom in the books. But I don't believe that that's a skill that you can only learn during your childhood. On the contrary, it should be much easier for a grown-up person to do that, because you're doing it much more consciously than I did when I was 7 practicing my endless etudes. When I started to really read, I had to come up with a system that would keep me motivated to continue reading, unlike my piano classes that I abandoned as soon as I graduated from the music school. The system that I invented as a teenager was really simple. First of all, I started with creating a favorable atmosphere around the time that I was reading my first 30 to 50 pages of the book. I would start when I have time, when nothing distracts me, when the work is done. Most of the books are not like movies, where in the first 15 to 30 minutes an exciting incident has to happen to kickstart the story. Books, especially novels, need time to spread wings, and I give them that time. 30 to 50 pages should be enough for you to get acquainted with the characters or with the author, get used to the way they speak, the way they express themselves, learn to coexist with them, and learn about their background. And 30 to 50 pages should be enough for you to start loving or hating the characters. Both emotions work equally well when it comes to gluing your eyes to the pages. And most importantly, after those 30 to 50 pages of a standard 250, 300 pages novel, things start happening. The things that can hook you and grab your attention. It's very important to read those first 30 to 50 pages mindfully, patiently, paying special attention to the descriptions of the characters, the way they speak, the first dialogues, monologues. After those 30-50 pages, I normally give myself an estimate conclusion of the book. Normally, and it might happen to you too, you wouldn't like to give up the book after reading 30-50 pages. Either because you're too invested in the story, or you're too captivated, or simply because you already spent too much time reading the first 50 pages that you just want to add another book to your list as soon as possible. Since most of the books I read from the age of 12 to 22 were classical novels, I did know a priori that they're not a waste of time. I knew that with each one of them, I would find a little piece of puzzle missing in my life. And I rarely buy or download a book without reading a description, a synopsis, or reading reviews. Sometimes they can mislead you, but most of the time they're very helpful. And by reviews, I don't mean those flashy slogans like mesmerizing, New York Times, or best book of the year, Amazon, or something like that. No, I need a constructive criticism, an opinion, not an advertisement. But if you just stumbled upon an unknown book in the attic of your grandma's house and you have no idea what the book is about, just give it a try and get to those 50 pages. But at this stage, you would already know what kind of book you're reading. If it's something that thrills you and gives you chills, you wouldn't even ask if you should continue reading it. And if not, you'll be surprised to know how many books I was about to reject after reading 30 to 50 pages. And I kept going, and later on, they just blew my mind. So much meat to sink my teeth into. Sometimes you just really hate the book at first, and then it becomes a game changer for you. For me, those books were Ibsen's Peer Gynt or Julio Cortázar's Hopscotch. This year, I also want to push myself into the most uncomfortable subject there is for me, or there are, mathematics and physics, and I would even start with ancient Greeks and see how it goes. So you live and learn. There are so many areas that are still difficult for me. So many unfamiliar styles of writing. There's always a space for growth. But do me a favor. For every book that you read effortlessly, take one that will challenge you and you would give yourself a credit for reading it. Another scenario is when you almost finish the book and you have like 30-50 pages left and you're just so fed up with the book, you just don't want to finish it. To that, I would say take a pause, take a couple of days off, a week or even more, start another book. It might be that you're just emotionally tired. Maybe the book was just too intense, too tragic, too complex. Just take a break and you will see you would like to come back to it. And if not, then the book was just a waste of time and it's not benefiting you in any way. But here's the thing. Only after you read your first 100 books as an adult, you will know your taste and you will know what books benefit you or not. Next time, it would be easier for you to choose something that you would actually enjoy reading, but don't forget to expand and experiment. Always try something challenging as well as pleasing. It's so fulfilling, I promise, to know that you're in love with a book that you wouldn't even think of liking before. I absolutely believe that it's possible to carry that childlike curiosity throughout your adult life. And books are not the only advisors here, but are essential, in my opinion, helpers in this journey. Now, I cannot stress enough how important in this 100-book challenge is the quality reading over quantity reading. It was always important to me to not just read the book, but actually carry something out of it and remember the characters, live with those characters, even remember their names. I'm not a technical person, like I forget those technical terms right away, but I do remember the names of Achilles' horse from Iliad that I read like 10 years ago, or all characters of George R. R. Martin's books. How do I do that? Here's an easy technique. First of all, I read most of the books with a pencil in my hand, okay? To highlight the important moments, the ones that are telling me something new about the author, the character, or about myself. After reading, I would go back to those moments and read them again, or even write them down in a journal. Normally, when I read the book, I would break it into acts, like a play or a script, and then say out loud the main events that happen in each act. I will also name out loud all the characters, well, at least the important ones. Then I would go to a platform where I can read the short summary of the book to make sure I didn't forget anything and to finalize the structure of the book in my mind. The best way to remember what you read is actually to test yourself. For that, you can dial your friend and, pretending that you're giving a review to a cool new book, just retell the whole story to them, maybe leaving behind some spoilers. It's okay if they don't listen to you, but if they do, they might want to read it too. So win-win. I remember retelling the plot of War and Peace to my 3-year-old sister using My Little Pony toys, making it look like a doll theater, sort of. She didn't mind, she was just so happy I was spending so much time with her. The important thing is for you to retell the story. If it's crucial for me to remember the plot lines and the story, I would go and read some reviews and critical articles about the book to make sure I understood everything, I remembered everything. If it's important to dive even deeper into the book, I would go and listen to the audiobook while I do something else, or watch a theatrical interpretation, or even a movie. Yes, don't be surprised. Sometimes you would actually find that the movie is better than the book. Very rarely, but it happens. And there are also books that are absolutely not adaptable to the screen. And don't be scared that the visuals of the film will erase the memory of the book. If you just read it and the memory is fresh, you can actually compare the movie and the book and see if that interpretation was close to your heart, if it's better than you imagined or worse. After all these steps, you would find normally that you remembered even the most subtle details of the book for years to come, without even revisiting the book. You can also reread the book and find out that every time you read it, it's a completely different story for you. But that's the beauty of a good book. It's open to interpretations. Now let's talk about my second time reading 100 books in a single year. Why didn't I give up after doing it once? Why would I push myself that hard second year in a row? I think I even got to 101, but then I just decided to write that 1 in the new year. So the important thing here was that after the first time, I knew I can do that. It's like when you start running for 30 minutes without stopping one day, you know you can do it again the next day and even add to that. Other years, I read 75 to 85 books a year, so my chances were pretty high. Why did I need to read 100 books again the second year? I didn't need to. I was just fascinated with the idea that I can learn so much in just 1 year. I was in love with the process. And you would love it too if you give it half a chance. With this 2021 book challenge, I would really need your help. I'm looking forward to make a list of books that I would read this year, and I'm looking for recommendations. Please write in the comments down below what books blew your mind and which ones you read twice or even 3 times, which ones you absolutely recommend. I have an enormous appetite for new discoveries. So challenge yourself to read 100 books this year with me, and let's see by the end of the year where we end up. I would also love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What are your reading methods and techniques that help you to better understand the book and memorize the details? And also let me know if my techniques were useful. If they were, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for your time. See you in my next video. Sweet readings to you all. Bye!